hands of Phillips and into Drew Tranquils.
Wimbush got a block, got the corner, touchdown Notre Dame, and the pass is intercepted. Let go!
Touch pass to Claypool, touchdown.
He's got pressure in his face, and Cody takes him down.
Welcome, Irish fans, to this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football with Brian Kelly. I'm Jack Nolan, coming to you this week from Heritage Hall inside the Joyce Center here at Notre Dame. Miami was clearly the better team on both sides of the ball in their 41-8 victory over Notre Dame on Saturday night, and the Irish did not help themselves with 4 turnovers in the contest. After the game, Coach Kelly gave credit where credit was due.
Miami was the better team today. They deserved to win. We're all, we didn't see this coming. Obviously, we felt like we were prepared to play at a high level. We did not. Simply have to coach better and have to play better next week against Navy. Not really much that we can take back right now other than, our players are very disappointed and But understand that, the most important thing is this won't define who they are as individuals or as a team. They'll bounce back and play well next week against Navy.
Inside Notre Dame Football is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Coca-Cola, Under Armour, and Gatorade. Inside Notre Dame Football is also brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of Notre Dame Athletics, Vivid Seats, Canon, Xfinity, Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Nissan, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, and SiriusXM.
I know this is a question you've been mulling ever since the game ended. Now that you've looked at the video, why was Miami able to be so successful against you?
Well, part of it is they came out and played extremely well. They were fast. They were making plays. They made some outstanding plays, and a lot of it should go to their credit. They played extremely well in their home in an environment that they have not been able to create since they got to the Hard Rock Stadium. So a lot of credit should go to Miami and Mark Richt and their football team. They played very, very well. Having said that, if you turn the ball over 4 times, don't fit the plays the way you have fit them defensively, and don't play to your process the way we have played to it up to this point, you're in for a long night, and that made it a long night for Notre Dame last night.
You knew they had talent, you knew they had speed. I'd seen them play a couple of times. I had never seen them play as fast this year as they played against you.
They played very well, and again, we felt like even with the first drive where we converted a 3rd down and had a chance for a touchdown, that we were going to be okay. As long as we took care of the football, we were going to be able to find our way offensively. Their first half, they did not run a traditional running play. It was Wildcat offense. It was quarterback draw. There was no traditional run plays. They did a nice job of doing things that they hadn't shown before with fly sweep counter and mixed some things up. They lived off the turnovers and got a good lead going into half, and obviously the backbreaker was the pick 6 right before the half. As we're going in to score, maybe we get this to 20-7, and now we've got a chance to fight out in the second half.
Biggest game for them in a decade and a half, and Notre Dame's used to playing in big-time atmospheres, but this was another level, and it did seem to have an impact on your team, as I think it would on any team.
Yeah, and maybe I should have done a better job in estimating, the kind of atmosphere, because we didn't have a lot of players on defense that even played in the Clemson game, which is a big game atmosphere if you remember a few years back. I think Jerry Tillery might have been the only guy on the field for us defensively. Joe Schmidt was playing linebacker. Niles wasn't even playing. So having said that, some of those things in terms of, the pregame, and we had 2 guys have to take IVs in pregame. That's quite unusual. So there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of, that kind of pregame hype that you don't like to have with your team. You want focus and you want them locked in on what's most important. And again, maybe I didn't do the best job of getting our guys ready for that atmosphere.
You mentioned that first drive, and they were swarming all over you. But Brandon Wimbush was executing 2 third-down pass conversions, just missed on a deep touchdown pass, and then it changed a little bit. What changed for him?
Well, it was a simple 3rd down and 6 spot route by Equinemius, and he just threw the ball high and it deflects off of Equinemius' hands. They get the turnover, and look, their whole persona was built on the turnover chain. Everybody wore shirts with the turnover chain. The whole place was feeding off of that opportunity. The thing that we said that we couldn't do is give them turnovers, and we fed into that with the first turnover. And then when they were able to live in that moment of the turnover, it got their offense, it got the crowd into it, and it changed the dynamics of the football game.
And Brandon threw another pick with a high pass later. What's the next step for him? He has run the ball so well, and there are times when he's pinpoint. So how does he get that consistency?
Well, it's in his preparation. He has to prepare better, and he knows that. I mean, if he wants to take the next step as a quarterback, it's in the preparation. A basketball player goes into the gym and he shoots hundreds and hundreds of shots to perfect his craft. A hockey player shoots pucks all day. It's not like any other athlete. A quarterback has to be out there perfecting his craft, and he has to do that during the week of practice. So he's got to get back out there. He's got to get better at his craft. He's got to be more accurate. His percentage completion is not necessarily the biggest thing, but he's got to put the ball on the receivers when we need it.
The defense was really put in a tough position much of the night, but on 8 of Miami's 12 possessions, they only gave up 32 yards or less on those possessions.
Yeah, they really, like I said, their running game was non-traditional. It was Wildcat, which we hadn't practiced, so I give them credit. They came up with something that we hadn't seen before. The quarterback draw, we've got to do a better job. We had 2 stunts on that we didn't execute, or we're hitting the quarterback for a loss. And missed a couple of tackles. Just, again, attention to detail from a defensive perspective. And we got to get back to that dominant mindset from a defensive standpoint. And if we do that, I think the biggest thing that, in talking to Coach Elko, is, we had an opportunity to take the ball away 2-3 times, and we did not. And that's something different for us. So we got to get back to taking the football away as well.
Wimbush goes back in the second half, eager to go back, and he does make a heck of a pass and a heck of a catch. First catch for a touchdown for Alizé Mack.
Yeah, I mean, we made a couple of throws down the field to Equinemius, made some nice catches in traffic. We threw a corner out to him. We were able to get some momentum going, and then a corner route where we've said all year, just put it in a position where he can go up and get it. He's extremely athletic and makes a nice catch in the corner of the end zone and get on the board.
Miami grabbed the upper hand early, but it doesn't mean that your team wasn't focused on the game. I know, being around here, everybody on this team, players, coaches, invested so much in this game with such high expectations. How do you bring them back in a week?
Oh, we'll bring them back in a day or two. I mean, they're still obviously down and disappointed, but sooner or later you got to get up off the mat and you got to get going again. And so we'll refocus them. It's been refocus each and every week. And so we'll get them refocused on what's important, and that is to play to the standard of Notre Dame. We did not do that. Coaches did not do that. Everybody's responsible for Notre Dame football to being a standard, and we'll get them back there against Navy.
And when you talk about responsibility, that's a hallmark of these players, because when you talk to them, they will all say, this was my fault. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. You look at the big picture, you've already doubled your win total from last year, something a lot of people didn't think you could do. So how do you get them to learn, but also focus on the positive, that they've been playing at a very high level, and this is fixable?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the great point, is that we're going to be in this again. We got a lot of young players that are going to be back. You're going to be in big games again. Take what happened against Miami and learn from these big games. How you have to be in your zone. You can't be too high. You can't be too low. You've got to be in the optimal zone, and learn from those kind of situations. And then, stay with our process. Don't get outside of it. If you stick with our process, it's been pretty good, and I think they learned a valuable lesson with that.
Going into a difficult game against Navy, and it's senior day, so there's a lot of competing emotions here, but it comes down to focus. This team in the past has done that fairly well. Do you have to take any more steps, like I mean, don't tear up until after the game.
Yeah, put all that stuff aside. We know that there's going to be a 13th game. Let's focus on responding from not living up to our standard and play to our standard. Let's do that first. We're only going to be around for 2 more regular season games. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's just focus on playing to our standard and sending out our seniors winners in their home stadium. I think that's really the most important thing, and we'll get them refocused on that, and I'm very confident that they'll be able to bounce back with a really, really good effort.
Notre Dame fifth-year tight end Durham Smythe is having the best year of his career. Smythe has caught 13 passes this season for 234 yards, both career highs. He has also helped a young but talented and deep group of tight ends improve every week to ensure quality play at that position for the Irish for years to come. Playing for Notre Dame is literally a dream come true for the Texas native who has been playing organized football for a long time and has been a fan of the Irish even longer.
Started playing football in the 6th grade. Started off as a tight end. I'd always loved football though, coming from a smaller town in central Texas. Every Friday night the whole town closed down and went to the game. So it's kind of in my blood from the very beginning.
And there's Wimbush up top, caught, touchdown, Durham Smythe.
I actually took my first visit to Notre Dame in January, about a month before signing day. Got off the plane, there was 2 feet of snow on the ground. I'd never been around snow in my entire life, coming from Texas, and I immediately fell in love with the place. It was so different to me. There was just a feeling that I had while I was on campus, and I knew almost right away that this is where I was meant to be. I take pride, I guess, first and foremost, as trying to be just a balanced tight end. I think making a great block or a great seal on a 9 technique is just as important as making a 25-yard touchdown catch. So at the end of the day, I kind of really shoot for balance. I try to stay pretty even keel on game days. Getting to the locker room and running out in front of 80,000 people, it's tough not to get a little bit emotional. And you grow closer to these fans, the more time you spend around them. Incredible. We have the best student section in all of football. It's just really an honor to play in front of all these guys on a week-to-week basis. I think one thing that I've learned here at Notre Dame that I'll for sure take with me for the rest of my life is how to treat people. I've had some great role models here at Notre Dame, whether it be older guys on the team, professors, football staff, and that's something that I think is so important. I've really gained a lot of respect for some of those role models throughout my time here because of how they treated people, and I think that's definitely something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. I try to take some time now that I'm a 5th-year senior here, and I take a second and I step back and I think about me as a 8-year-old kid with all the Notre Dame gear on, watching the games every Saturday, kind of just envisioning myself there. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it besides saying it's just a huge blessing and something that it's been just so awesome to experience.
Notre Dame is rushing for an average of just over 303 yards per game this season, the 6th highest total in the nation, and a performance that has played a huge role in Notre Dame already doubling its win total from last season. The All-Americans on the left side of the offensive line, Mike Blaguncci and Quentin Nelson, have deservedly received much of the credit for this rushing success. But credit must also be given to senior center Sam Mustipher. After struggling at times during his first year as a starter last season, Mustipher has turned into a consistently effective performer and leader on the line this year, earning him the right to run this week's 60-second drill. First car you ever drove?
My mom's Honda minivan.
Favorite musical group or artist?
J. Cole.
One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm fluent in French.
Thoughts on the new video board in Notre Dame Stadium?
Absolutely love it.
Player on the team most like you?
Ooh. Believe it or not, probably Q.
Favorite sport to play other than football?
Basketball.
One thing you always hear from Coach Heastand at practice?
Come on, big guy.
Which is better, a pancake block, a perfect shotgun snap, or a long pocket protection?
We got to start with the snap, so.
Toughest player to block on the Notre Dame team?
Jerry.
Best singer on the team?
Probably Wu, Jeremiah.
Best dancer on the team?
Mike Adu or John Jones.
Best comedian on the team?
Jay Hayes.
Best dresser on the team.
Winbush.
Worst dresser on the team.
Trevor Rowland.
Best thing about playing for Notre Dame.
Everything.
Sam Mustafer, you've completed the 60-second drill on Inside Notre Dame Football. Thank you. On a tough night for the Irish in Miami, one play did stand out. Alizé Mack's outstanding touchdown catch in the third quarter, the first touchdown catch of Mack's career. That play is this week's Notre Dame Ticket Exchange Vivid Seats Play of the Week.
Blitz again. Winbush lobs it for the end zone. Jump ball. Touchdown. Going up and getting the football there is Alizé Mack, the tight end. And the Irish finally on the scoreboard, 12 seconds in the quarter.
It's time now for the experts at TireRack.com question of the week for Coach Kelly. If you would like to ask Coach Kelly a question for his TV or radio shows, all you have to do is log on to UND.com and scroll down to click on Ask Coach Kelly on the main page. This week's question comes from Eddie Durham of Mesa, Arizona. Coach, with the Irish wearing special Rockne Heritage uniforms to honor Knute Rockne this weekend, will you be attired like Rockne as well, perhaps wearing a suit with a fedora on the sideline?
You know, I asked Ryan Grooms for one of those big wool jackets and a fedora, and he said that he was going to try to pull it off. If he can get a big wool jacket, because I think we're going to need it on Saturday, and a fedora, I would consider it.
Next up for the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish, a return to Notre Dame Stadium for Senior Day and Notre Dame's 91st meeting with Navy. The midshipmen lead the nation in rushing this season with their triple option attack racking up just under 370 yards on the ground per game.
Yeah, certainly. It's about an attention to detail with them. You can't make mistakes, and you know you have to be physical. There has to be a physicality. So this will be a great challenge for our defense to bounce back, and they will. I mean, we've got good players. We've got guys that are really committed, and they want to live up to a standard of play that they didn't live up to. And so they'll put this behind them, and they'll be ready to move on quickly.
That will do it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football. We, of course, will be back next week with all the highlights of the Notre Dame-Navy game. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Irish!
Inside Notre Dame Football is presented by TireRack.com and brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners, Coca-Cola, Under Armour, and Gatorade. Inside Notre Dame Football is also brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of Notre Dame Athletics, Vivid Seats, Canon, Xfinity, Delta Airlines, proud to be the official airline of Notre Dame Athletics, Nissan, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, and SiriusXM.